The tradition of a woman taking on her husband's name comes from coverture laws. Basically, as women and girls, we were either owned by our dads or our husbands. The tradition of a father giving their daughter away came from the ownership transfer from the daddy to now the husband. And now you have your husband's last name. In some cultures, you cease to exist. You become enmeshed. And it's not that you become two people, you basically belong to him. Your rights under coverture laws were basically his rights. And that's the reason why women had to fight for the rights to not be beat or raped by their husbands. They had to actually go to court and fight for the rights for women to own their own bodies versus their husbands owning their own bodies. Anyways, I say all of that to get to this point. The changing of the names is completely unnecessary. If you're married, you're married, even if you take on your husband's last name or not. I just wanted to talk about the tradition of where this came from. She asked the question, am I the a-hole for refusing to change my last name after marriage because my husband assumed I would? And to that, I do not believe that makes a person an a-hole, but this does need to be communicated early on. This is part of having, setting the scene for what your relationship will look like. And even the feminist men will have an issue with this and not taking on the name because it's just part of tradition that some people don't even think about. So let's talk about this now before you even get married so that there are no people that are upset because, I don't think that there's a way to fix this, especially if a husband is not willing to accept hyphenation. So let's look at her post. She's 31, he's 33. She says, I got married 3 months ago to my husband. We've been together for 5 years and I love him, but we're having our first major fight as a married couple. Throughout our entire relationship and engagement, we never explicitly discussed whether I changed my last name. I just assumed he knew I wasn't planning to. I have a professional reputation built on my name. I'm published in academic journals. I presented at conferences. My entire career is tied to this name. I'm also the last person in my family with this surname since my brother took his wife's name. After the wedding, we were filling out paperwork to add me to his insurance. He handed me a form and I filled it out with my legal name, my maiden name. He looked at it and said, "You forgot to put your new last name." I said, "I didn't change it." He looked genuinely shocked, said he assumed I would because that's what people do when they get married. I said, "We never discussed it and I never planned to change it." He got upset, said it's important to him that we share a last name as a family, that it's traditional, and he thought I understood that. I told him my career and identity are important to me and that sharing a life together doesn't require sharing a last name. He said I should have told him before the wedding if I wasn't going to change it, that he feels blindsided, like I'm not fully committed to the marriage. I said he should have asked instead of assuming, and that keeping my name has nothing to do with my commitment. Now he's sulking, and his mother called me yesterday saying I'm disrespecting their family name and that I'm being stubborn and modern for no reason. She said when she got married, taking her husband's name was an honor, and I'm treating it like it doesn't matter. My own mother is on my side, but says I should have brought it up before the wedding to avoid this mess. My friends are split. Some say it's my name and my choice. Others say I should have communicated this clearly before getting married. Am I the a-hole for not changing my name when my husband assumed I would? I've already answered that. No, I don't believe that she's the a-hole, but I do believe that this is a conversation that is worthy of having before you get married or before the relationship really starts off, because some people are so tied to tradition and don't really know why. They just assume that a woman is going to fall in line, and not all women are attached to these traditions. So, you got to have these conversations. Oh, the OP had more to say. She says, what's frustrating is that he keeps framing this as me hiding my decision from him. I wasn't hiding anything. I just never thought to bring it up because in my mind, it was never a question. My name is my name. He said most women change their names, and I should have known he'd expect it. But I'm not most women, and we've been together for 5 years. He knows that I'm career focused and independent. How did he not realize this might be something I'd keep? His mom suggesting I'm not honoring their family is also annoying. I love my husband, but his family name isn't more important than my own. My name represents my achievements, my family, and my identity. I offered to hyphenate, but he said that's not the same and defeats the purpose of us being one family unit. I don't understand how my last name determines whether we're a family or not. It doesn't, but they have run out of arguments, so they're going to push with this. And I don't believe that there's going to be a way to come to an agreement with this. He might be so focused on this last name thing that he'd be willing to divorce or annul this relationship. Bulky Hamster says, men who run to their mommies to complain when they don't like something their wife does really piss me off. You can have whatever name you want. Sure, you should have discussed this before getting married, but you didn't. Quantum Foam says, I agree. Having his mother talk to her was not the best idea. He should learn to not take their problems to his mother. Not cool. And now the OP sees that their relationship won't be their relationship. It will be a family relationship. So she should really be reconsidering this relationship as well. They're 3 months in. And what's wild to me is these dudes know that they have a career-focused, independent-minded woman. Why do they even want to be in relationships with these types of women and think that they are going to hammer or screw them down to be the submissive, quiet, little demure, traditional women that they want? Why do they even get with these women if that is not what they want? Darkling says, yep, OP, he's disrespecting you by bringing this to his mother. Being modern for no reason. Taking someone else's name is allowing them to see you as property. That's why that whole thing started, to become owned by the groom's family. Nope. I would have second thoughts about this just because he's allowing his family to shame you. That is not how a partner who loves you acts. You should have mentioned it before. Should you have mentioned it beforehand? Yes. Definitely. But that is your only mistake here. You did not need to have a discussion about it because he would just try to manipulate you. By the way, I'm keeping my last name. I'm sure you already expected that because of my career, but I wanted to make that clear beforehand. His disrespect of you and allowing you to be shamed while throwing a tantrum is inexcusable. You, OP, are justified in standing your ground. Bluefish says, I agree with all of this, except that I don't think that the onus was on OP to bring up the name thing before tying the knot. If it was that important to OP's husband, he should have mentioned it and not just assumed. It's 2025 for F's sake. Plenty of women, more and more women actually, are keeping their maiden names after marriage. It didn't once occur to Hubs that his independent, career-driven future wife might want to keep her last name. Shame on him for assuming. OP, it's red flaggy to me that your new Hubs is making such a big deal out of this, trying to make you feel bad about it, and trying to pressure you into changing your mind. Plus, him bringing his mommy into the argument is not okay. Is he going to run to mommy with future arguments? How's he going to handle child rearing or disagreements over that? I can guarantee you mommy will be looped into that as well. Guard your birth control closely and make damn sure you two are on the same page about needs and boundaries in this marriage before you bring kids into it, if you are planning to do so. Your independence and career will go down the shitter pretty quickly if you find yourself baby trapped to a man who wants to be traditional about more than just names. Absolutely. That is something to consider and something that we need to get into our brains before we get into these relationships. This is one of the reasons why I will continue to say that a woman's 20s should be used for finding herself and finding her voice so that we can have these discussions about what we want and expect out of relationships. And we're bringing this up right now because this could be avoided if these kind of conversations happen quicker than, 3 months after you get married. Chime in and let me know what you think about this. I cannot stand weaponized incompetence. I just can't stand it. And any man that practices this weaponized incompetence needs to be weaponized incompetently on their own and single. Basically, they just need to not be living with normal thinking human beings, because normal thinking human beings deserve better. This woman posted in the Two Hot Takes subreddit saying, "My husband makes the stupidest mistakes. How am I meant to live my life with him and possibly have kids together?" You don't. Don't. Ugh. Okay, just don't. He's 30, she's 28. She says, "My husband and I have been together for 6 years, married for 1. In the last year, he seems to have been making really dumb mistakes, ones that could be easily avoided, and I know I would never make because I'm so paranoid of anything bad happening. Today's dumb mistake was leaving the stove burning for 3.5 hours while he was out and I was at work. Now, this wouldn't be so bad, I suppose, if we didn't have 2 dogs and 3 cats. I don't need to run through all the reasons this could have been so much worse. We all know them. Thankfully, nothing bad happened this time. The last time he made a dumb mistake was when we were dog sitting my sister's young dog, and he forgot he opened the garage already and let the dog run out when he opened the door, straight into the road. Again, thankfully, nothing bad happened and no cars drove by. But what if they had? What if there was a car and it hit my sister's dog when we were supposed to be caring for it? I know these examples could have been so much worse, but why can I not help but think it's only a matter of time before something does go wrong because he's not thinking or paying enough attention? How am I ever supposed to trust that if we have kids, he's not going to get distracted and let the kid get hurt or worse? To add, the main arguments we have had are always about his lack of thought around anything, how his decisions will impact me, him getting distracted and fixated on unimportant things, him always on his phone. To give some context, why do you want to be with somebody that you have to have these dumb conversations with all the time? So many people, so many women get so wrapped up in these relationships that they would be willing to sacrifice their future children, their livelihood, their money, their personal health to be with these people. And I am not seeing the benefits of this man. This is the type of man that would take their child to the daycare and leave the kid in the car. Some of these people do not deserve to be in relationships. They don't deserve children. They need to be on their own. Like this, she already sees the red flags. This man is a walking red flag. This man should not be in a relationship. So many of these people in the comment section are already talking about ADHD, dementia, brain tumor, blah, blah, blah. This man is just distracted because he's on his phone and playing video games. So this person at the bottom, lucky respect. So you've known him for 6 years. Are these a new set of symptoms, or does he have ADHD? Because if these are new behaviors in the last year, I would want him to have a physical and get a brain scan. Chicago K says, exactly what I was thinking. Time for a complete checkup. Then he needs to get his head out of the games and into the real world. Lee Sample says, I was thinking ADHD also. Myers Street Lurker says, does he smoke a lot of weed? Sparkle Tara says, yeah, the stove thing sounds like a weed gummy accident. And then at the bottom, or ADHD. So many people keep saying ADHD. I want to get to my homie that actually sent me this, Capital Ingenuity. She just comes out and says, sounds like weaponized incompetence. He married you to do the labor, to be his mom. Please don't have children with him. He's already a child that never grew up. And then we got Beneficial to Society saying, you got all of that based on her 2 small examples? Those are not small examples. Sounds like you have issues yourself. And Capital Ingenuity says, absolutely. Though these weren't small examples. Leaving a stove burning for hours and letting a dog run into traffic are serious safety issues. Patterns of carelessness absolutely matter in marriage and parenting. He's a man-child at best. And then Beneficial to Society says they are, though, as in small examples. They are, though. They can easily happen to anyone. I imagine you've done worse in your life. You're probably single and will stay that way. Okay, now Capital Ingenuity says leaving a stove burning for hours and letting a dog run into traffic aren't everyday slip ups. Those are serious safety hazards. Most adults go their entire lives without doing either. Minimizing dangerous patterns doesn't help the OP's situation. Imagine what she's not sharing in order for her to come to Reddit. People usually don't come to Reddit over two random mistakes. They come because those mistakes represent a larger pattern they're dealing with daily. These examples are probably just the tip of the iceberg. He's putting the family in danger, yet men love calling themselves the protectors and providers. How can you protect a household when you're the one creating the risk? You must be the OP's husband. I love that last part right there. How can you protect a household when you're the one creating the risk? Please embody that. Know and understand that, and stop putting so much focus on love. If somebody is willing to put your safety, the safety of your loved ones, the safety of your pets, make a house hazard like a fire hazard, these are not people that you should be in a relationship with because they are dangerous. I told y'all all these people that are diagnosing them, and it makes me sick. Like this person at the bottom. He may have a brain tumor. He may have early onset dementia. He needs a doctor. No, he doesn't. He's just being this way because of his lack of attention. And I'm going to use this to segue to this post. Your best responses to weaponized incompetence. I'll start. After telling him I was at the end of my rope with being the only one running our household, I once had a partner tell me he avoided cooking because he doesn't know a lot of recipes and wasn't sure what groceries in the fridge were meant for. So I secretly signed his email up for my favorite recipe newsletters and stopped grocery shopping or cooking entirely. We ate takeout basically every day for 3 weeks. I broke up with him at the end of those 3 weeks, but we still lived together while I arranged to move out. He complained to my best friend's husband that I was still not buying groceries or cooking during that time. The audacity. Also, whenever a guy tells me they pull their weight with chores, I ask them when the last time they scrubbed a toilet was. The response is always so telling. How have you addressed weaponized incompetence from the men in your lives? Let's look at a few of these comments. M. Leak says, you can do hard things. You can figure stuff out without your manager or boss holding your hand. You listen, gather information, and come to reasonable conclusions at work every day, or with your hobby, sport, game, car, whatever. I am only demanding the same courtesy, the same intellectual effort and follow through that you give your least liked coworker. I would appreciate the same energy and stick to itness that you give the things you actually love. In some cases, this works. When it doesn't, at least I have my answer. I am unworthy of the consideration and effort given to your poopiest coworkers. I'll never be offered what you have for the things you actually love. Suboptimal Potato says, when I was in a management position, my ex once told me, you wouldn't talk to an employee in this tone. I told him that my employees were all doing a better job and that if someone performed the way at work that he did at home, I would have fired them long ago. It took me way too long to fire him. The OP had a good chuckle at Suboptimal Potato. I'll do more of this post in its own post, but I wanted to get to Ryu. Ryu says condescension. If he wants to act like he's incompetent, treat him at his word. Teach him to do the job with the exact energy you would teach a child to do the job. Considering the majority of the tasks men pretend they cannot do can be done by a 5-year-old. Make sure that's the energy you give. Channel your favorite kindergarten teacher. He will be so embarrassed or frustrated, he will suddenly magically learn to do the task you need to teach him. Now, Streech says, mine now claims that because I'm mean to him about his lack of cleaning, he has negative associations with these things and thus is even less likely to do it. The person at the bottom said, what a catch. And like I said, I'm just attaching it to that other woman's post, but this does need to be its own post. Be condescending to these people that act absolutely dumb because they are not dumb. So stop treating them like these logical leaders. Let me know what you think. Whoopsie, I got cut off. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. This whole conversation about men weaponizing food has been blowing up all over social media. And my comment section, it's really telling. I did have this one, it might have even been a handful of women coming into the comments to talk about stuff like, what kind of men are y'all picking? As if this is just the boyfriends and husbands. But sometimes it is the dads and brothers and cousins of the people in the household. It's not just as simple as you got to escape. Sometimes you're locked in because this is your childhood home and you don't have the money to leave yet. Anyways, this woman jumped into my Reddit inbox to give me her story time of how her brother has weaponized food to the point of like seriously threatening her life. Let's look at this post. She says, "Hi, Bourbon Bougie. I saw your TikToks about men weaponizing food and thought of my brother immediately. I'm a 20-year-old woman living at home currently as I commute to school. My brother doesn't work nor go to school right now, but hopefully will be gone by spring as he should start college then. My brother is the source of many issues within my family. I genuinely believe he hates women, and my entire household is women as my parents are amicably separated." Yeah, I did struggle with amicably. I said it right that time. They're separated. "There are many issues with him in food. For instance, he will often yell at my mom for what she cooks, no matter how simple or elaborate. Anything from salads to pastas to steaks, he hates it all, seemingly because she didn't ask or consult him about it. Even with these fits he has, he will still devour the food to the point most of us have very little to eat. It has gotten to the point that around dinner time, I will always make a point to be around my mom as he knows I will fight back against him much more than she does, as sadly she still sees hope for him. We constantly have to hide food. Anything remotely sweet needs to be hidden away, either buried under stuff or somewhere he won't look. For example, my mom gets groceries on Fridays, which I help her with. This past week, he ate an entire box of cereal and a jug of milk within the span of a Friday afternoon to Saturday. He also has a habit of using my allergies, deadly allergies to peanuts, against me. If he knows I want something to eat, he will sprinkle this peanut butter powder all over it and has threatened to do the same to my belongings. He has no concept of cross-contamination and truly believes that I am A, being dramatic about my allergies, and B, need to get over myself. I am truly worried that one day he will put peanuts on something and I will actually eat it without knowing." Right here, I believe that he does have a concept of cross-contamination. That's the reason why he is threatening you with peanut butter dust, because he wants to harm his own sister for some reason. Honestly, the way he acts is incredibly confusing to me, as my father has never acted like this with food. He always made a point of me, my siblings, and my mother eating and getting the food before he did. He pushes leftovers onto me every time I am at his house, and he loves making sure everyone has gotten enough to eat. My dad has always put my brother in his place, especially as he's become more and more aggressive towards me and my mom. Verbal abuse, throwing things, shoving, etc. I have started to be outside of the house more, staying on campus longer and doing my schoolwork there, going to my dad's place, spending time in the library, and going out with friends as much as I can. Still, I feel immense anxiety and guilt when I leave, as I know how much my mom is struggling and how much he is stressing her out. She has even developed celiac disease, which her doctor believes is caused by the immense stress of having him constantly tormenting her. I have gotten used to it, as he has been like this towards me for years. It used to hurt me very deeply, especially my mental state. Thankfully, I've learned how to cope, but I'm afraid my mother won't, as she loves him much more than I can even fathom. Thank you for talking about men who act like this. I was shocked to see so many people have similar experiences. People need to know and understand that sometimes a person's first bully is in their childhood home. It could be their parents, it could be their siblings, but sometimes that is where they get bullied the most. And many of these people end up going no contact because of stuff like this. And like I said, women were jumping into my comment section wondering what kind of men these women were picking. All right, cool. Let's look at some of the comments that were on my post. Mina says, I cooked for my brother for a week and he'd say, thank you. The next week he came back from school telling me, where's my food? I'm hungry. It's your job to cook. Hurry up. Why are you taking so long? Mind you, I go to school as well. Never cooked in my life after that. All because of her own brother and the entitlement around food. Here we have Lola. Now, Lola is talking about my ex. Lola says, my ex would eat anything and everything and leave me nothing and then scream at me if I got upset and blame me. So that's the whole Darvo thing, the reverse victim offender type of thing. And for the new people, because I do have new people, Darvo stands for deny, attack, reverse victim offender. That's if somebody brings something to you like you have a problem with, like stop eating my food, and then all of a sudden the other person becomes the victim in the scenario. Goddess Honey at the top says, yeah, I absolutely love cooking. I love creating new things, and I don't really do that much anymore. You end up losing the love for it, and it just feels like a chore. It's sad when people crush your creativity or your love of doing something. That made me sad. We got HBIC of Chaos says, my dad always ate first. And like I said yesterday, many of these conversations have come up throughout the years. Who eats first? Who gets the biggest piece of chicken? That has always surrounded food and making sure that the men of the table get fed first. And so now we're just talking about this variety of it, which is entitlement, gluttony, selfishness, and all of that. Now, No One Special says it's called financial abuse. I went through that. It's so disheartening. And it is financial abuse, and it's stealing your time. It is literally stealing your time. It's financial abuse because groceries cost money. So if someone eats up all of the food, they're eating up all of the money right there. And they're stealing your time because it takes time to go to the grocery store. It takes time to chop up everything and to cook everything and, prep everything and then put it away. They are stealing your time and your money when they do this. Christina says, convos like this is why society has conditioned us to believe that women exchanging information is called gossip and seen negatively. There is nothing more powerful than women waking up. And to that, I say, yep. And that's the reason why I keep on saying these things and talking about this, because we only have so much time, energy, and resources. And whatever variation I talk about this and talk about it in terms of boundaries is going to get people upset because they're used to colonizing or being parasitic towards women. And as more and more women see these red flags and these warning signs quickly and attempt to escape, it'll make them hold their own nuts, basically. Death Becomes Her says, I will never forget when my mom would make tacos and would have a small serving spoon of the tacos. She says it wouldn't even cover the bottom of a hard taco shell. If we tried to get more, my brother would throw a fit and proceed to eat 10 or more tacos. Meanwhile, we only got 2. He didn't even make the food. Then when we would have pizza, my mom and sisters would get one whole slice cut in half to make 2 pieces. Baby Barracuda says, my dad did this bad when I lived at home. I literally had a fridge in my room so I could protect my food until I was able to move out. Expensive Flop says, that's what I think about with so many sitcoms too. It's always the overweight, sloppy husband paired with a conventionally attractive thin wife. He's constantly eating everything in the house. Sure, it's a hyperbolic version of the American family, but it also gives men this silent permission to just take and take because it's shown as normal on TV. This woman right here says, my dad does this and it starves me out. So much for being providers. Lily says, once my family had McDonald's. The next day I realized someone took my chicken nuggets. It was my dad. And then Via at the bottom says, we can't eat leftovers or peanut butter because my dad eats straight from the container and puts it back. My mom and I hide the new jars, but he keeps finding them and deciding to open a brand new jar when he already has 3 open jars. That, like I said, entitlement, selfishness, all of those words. This person that has a little flower for a name says, I live with my parents and older brother, and this is the main reason why I gave up on buying groceries for the family. When I finally got a job straight out of high school, I started spending at least $400 a month on top of rent on groceries for my family. My entire family, I grew up thinking we were poor and living in food insecurity. I was never ungrateful. I got used to going to sleep starving and relied on my school lunches. After I began filling up the house with groceries, I noticed for the first time how fast food was disappearing. My dad became a total glutton in my eyes. All the meals I had planned on making, gone. I argued with him to stop, but he wouldn't listen until I eventually gave up entirely. The meals I was cooking after work or school for my family completely stopped. My mom would beg me to cook, but I lost the motivation completely. I would just come home and go straight to sleep so I wouldn't feel hungry. I hate my dad. He hasn't changed at all, and every time I feel bad about it and try again, he eats everything. I feel stuck. I have hundreds of comments on my post talking about this, and I just recently started. So I know that there are hundreds more women that are talking about this all over social media. This picture pretty much sums up what is going on. You have the man of the house that's just eating, and the women or the girls of the house that just look gaunt, just look sad and starved. This picture sums up everything, and this has got to stop, and I am glad that we are shining a light on this because it's entitlement, selfishness, greed, all of that. Y'all go ahead and chime in and keep on telling your stories, and I'm going to keep on highlighting some of y'all's stories. I had a woman named Marie send me an email. She says, hello again. I was listening to one of your videos today, and it was heartbreaking. The topic was men controlling women by denying food access. I literally had tears in my eyes and had to compose myself before walking into the office. I don't know why I didn't think of it sooner. I am a great resource for putting folks in touch with resources. I am a one-woman operation. Basically, anyone can contact me from anywhere, and I will be able to find whatever resources are available to them for that particular area. For example, many are not aware that there are programs via the state and county that offer assistance to people in need. Anything from food to help with energy bills, low-income housing, etc. A little background about me. I'm an adult education teacher specializing in ESL and ESOL, so I work with the immigrant population. In addition, I am a human rights refugee advocate. I partnered with a nonprofit called IROC, Immigrant and Refugee Outreach Center, where I helped with the resettlement efforts of many Afghan families in Maryland. I also taught ESL classes for Afghan and Ukrainian women. I am fluent in Persian, Farsi, and Dari. I'm attaching my business card with my contact information. Please share as you see fit. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for all you do. And here is her business card, Community Information Referral Network. You can get in touch with her right here. Here is her email, community@yahoo.com. She even gives her phone number. So this is Marie, who says that she is the one-stop shop for information. I will put this video in various places so you can have access to it.